Shut up. It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney. Hey, horror fans. This is David Howard Thornton here, Art the Clown himself from the movies Terrifier, the upcoming Terrifier 2, and you're listening to Lights Out Radio.
Why, hello, all you ghosts and ghouls, fiends and freaks, witches and zombies. How's it going out there? I hope everybody's doing well and living life. I hope everybody's being blessed. Man, it's beautiful. Life is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful adventure. It really is. And you can't have the positive without the negative, you know what I mean? So it's just, the whole journey is just a really beautiful thing. It's like a roller coaster that you're scared to ride for the first time. And then after you ride it, you know, while you're riding it, you're going through all the ups and downs and sides to sides and upside downs and all this crazy shit. And then when you get off, you're like, holy fuck, let's do that again. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing okay. I know it's been a while since you heard from me, but, you know, I'm kind of self-taught with all this. I didn't even start knowing how to do a lot of this until I actually started doing this show. With all that being said, you know, we got the brand out. Hoodies, shirts, snapbacks. We'll be adding a few other things pretty soon. You guys are really gonna dig it. So stay tuned for that. And just one more quick thing. Somebody was talking to me about, hey man, you should do a Patreon and blah blah blah. I was like, what's a Patreon? And he told me, he's like, yeah, people can donate to you and blah 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 blah. And that's cool, and I respect that and everything. But that's just not me. To be honest, it's just not my style. It's not who I am as a person or as a man. I want to earn every inch that's in every step I take. You know what I mean? That's just who I am. That's just how I operate. So no shade, salt, or rain, or anything like that thrown anybody else's way. It's just not for me. It's not my thing. If you guys want to, you know, support the cause or support the brand and all that, much love. You know what I mean? I highly appreciate it. We're gonna be doing big things, making big noise. So that's gonna be awesome. But if you want to support it, you know, buy a shirt, buy a hoodie, buy a hat. There's going to be a few other things out there. So that's just how I operate as a person. But anyway, back to the show. So if you have not seen All Hallows Eve, which is where Art the Clown, he's a character, he gets his birth. Or if you haven't seen The Terrifier, which is kind of like the follow-up to that, but it's more just solely based on Art the Clown. If you haven't seen either one of those, especially The Terrifier, I highly urge you to check them out. Really good movies. The second one's coming out soon, sometime this year. The director, Damien, he put out a post on Instagram and Facebook the other day talking about how he's got a rough cut done, and the movie's going to be over 2 hours, which is awesome. This movie has all the vibe and aura around it that screams to me, this is the next slasher franchise. I mean, the character is amazing. The dude that plays him, David, who we're going to be speaking to here in a little bit, amazing. So that's just what it is. So if you haven't seen him, check him out. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Maybe freaked out a little bit in a couple parts in The Terrifier, but I mean, that's what it is. This isn't going to be no child's play horror movie, you know what I mean? So keep that in mind when you watch it, and I'll probably post a video of the new trailer or teaser for Terrifier 2. But yeah, other than that, when we come back, we're going to take a quick little musical break. That way you guys can, you know, grab some popcorn or a smoke or a drink or whatever you guys need to do. When we come back, we're going to be talking to David Howard Thornton himself, the man that plays Art the Clown. Don't miss it. This is Lights Out Radio, baby. Yeah. All right, everybody, as promised, this is Justin with Lights Out Radio. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody's living their best life and doing everything the best they can. Anyway, as promised, we have David Howard Thornton himself, the Terrifier, Art the Clown. You know his name by now. He's big in news. He's big in horror. He's just big. This thing blew up. So how you doing, David? What's going on, man?
I'm doing good. I can't complain too much, given the circumstances of everything right now.
It's hard for anybody to complain too much unless you're in the hospital with the shit.
Exactly. Could be worse.
Exactly.
Could definitely be worse.
Exactly. So I'm not, man, I don't know if you know, we don't really waste any time on this show, so we're just going to jump right into the shit.
Cool.
So, who is David Howard Thornton? Yeah, I told you, man. We're going to start off with the soul diggers.
Yeah, who is David Howard Thornton? I guess you could say he is like a southern geek that moved up to New York City that got very lucky in life.
Man, take it how you can get it, man.
Yeah.
So, how did you, I mean, this has probably been played out in a lot of interviews with you, but I haven't really listened to them. I kind of avoided them on purpose. So, if anything gets repetitious, honestly, dude, at this phase, you're going to have to get used to that shit.
Oh, exactly.
So, how did you get your start in acting, man?
I, oddly enough, got my started in acting doing church theater of all things. It's funny how I've come gone the whole gamut.
Right.
Started off with plays about Jesus, and now I'm just hacking up people for a living with blood spewing everywhere and doing horrible, horrible things to people. So it's just like, I've run the whole gamut.
I was saying, that's quite the spectrum in your pocket right there.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's how I started.
So you started out doing church plays.
Church plays.
Was that for your personal, like your family church, or?
Yeah. It was I was in like the church choir, like the children's choir, and we did the little plays every year and stuff like that. And that's where I really cut my teeth. And I started doing community theater later on, and that's really where I learned a lot, was doing community theater, because I learned from like my betters, those people that have been doing it for years. And I never really was formally trained in theater. I just learned from doing it. Honestly, because I got my degree in teaching of all things. But
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, elementary education with a minor in history.
There you go, nice history buff. I can dig it.
Oh yeah, I'm a big history buff. But I was in college. My mom passed away from cancer, and so that kind of changed my whole perspective on life. It's just like I was like, I like teaching, but I'm not really as fulfilled as I am like entertaining my students. I was like, I discovered I really enjoyed entertaining my students more than teaching them. I'm like, I think this is what I need to do with my life instead. I think I need to be an entertainer. And so I finished up my degree, and because, just in case, so I could have something to fall back on if I needed to, and moved up to New York City, and the rest is history.
Nice. Moved up to the big city with dreams to make it big.
Yeah. It's not, you only get one shot at all this, so might as well live it up.
That's a fact.
Take those risks, because you never know. I know so many very talented actors back home in Huntsville that always wanted to give it a shot, but they were too afraid to leave home. And I don't want to be one of those people.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, dude. That's crazy that you said that. I'm a firm believer that I think fear holds a lot of people back from really exposing their gifts or their light, so to speak. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So what part of you said you grew up in Huntsville?
Huntsville, yeah.
Nice. I lived in Decatur, honestly, for about a year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like right outside of Huntsville.
Yeah. I grew up I didn't grow up there. I lived there for about a year with my mom, and then Katrina happened, and I jetted back to Colorado.
That makes sense. Right. Did you ever get to go to Point Mallard while you're out there?
No, I didn't, man. I didn't have much time to do much. I just kind of like stuck to myself and just I wrote a lot, to be honest. I did a lot of writing. Yeah. Getting away from everything that I knew and everybody I knew really gave me the chance to just kind of like I used to go out into the woods back behind my mom's house, and I just sit out there and just write or sketch or just kind of do my thing. Yeah, just kind of get my my zen on, so to speak.
I know that's one thing I have missed about living here in New York City is like I don't have the woods to go out and do that kind of stuff in, because I used to like to do that a lot too, just go on hikes and stuff like that just to clear my head. Yeah,
definitely. So you did community theater, and then where'd you go from there?
Basically here in New York. I just did that and came up to New York, and I would take a class here or there, not really to. I mean, I learned a little bit in these classes, but it was more like so I could network.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So I can get to know casting directors and stuff like that, and it's just
rub shoulders and
then I
shake
started
hands.
getting cast. Yeah,
Gotcha.
did all that. Started doing like voiceover work, and did 5 years where I toured with How the Grinch Stole Christmas the musical.
That's awesome.
So
you did you did live theater then?
Oh yeah, that's what I basically did. Terrifier was my first real film. I had done like extra work before, but that I don't really count that as much because I had no lines. I just sat in the background and reacted to things.
That's awesome. So
or didn't react to things. I'm just sitting in the cafe drinking a cup of coffee or something like that. So it's
whoa. Making it big, climbing the ladder, man. Climbing the ladder.
Oh, yeah.
Got to put in the work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like I think that's what a lot of aspiring actors don't really understand. Is that you have to put in the work. You're not going to necessarily just start off with a big, huge, project or something like that. You got to build yourself up. I mean, it took me about 10, 13, 14 years to like really get where I was going with my career here in New York. It's just a lot of just pounding the pavement, auditioning, and just hoping something sticks.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's lost too in a lot of aspects in life in general. People just expect to come out the gate just knocking heads off and kicking doors in, and that's just not the way it works, man.
Oh no, especially here, like New York or LA, because it's like you're a small fish in a very big pond of equally talented people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just like sometimes it comes down. Sometimes it has nothing to do with that other people are better than you. It comes down to certain things you have no control over. Like you just might look a little bit different than what they're wanting, or I literally lost a role over a coin toss because they couldn't decide me and another person.
You're shitting me. A
coin toss. It was just, but I think that one came up in my favor because if I had won that coin toss, I wouldn't have been able to audition for Terrifier.
Oh shit! Yeah, and that coin toss saved you. Then, if anything,
yeah, I really did win that coin toss. It's just not the way I expected.
That's funny how life works out like that sometimes.
It is.
Wow. Okay, so I didn't know that about you. So what was the transition like from live theater, live audience, seeing the expressions immediately and everything and all that comes with it, to standing in front of a camera? You know what I mean? Like, how did that transition go for you?
That was an interesting transition. I mean, first of all, luckily I didn't have to worry about the vocal transition because, I'm being a stage trained actor. I'm used to projecting. And I was like, oh God. I remember back in college, I did like a student film, and like my first day on set, like the guy had his earphones on. He's like, oh God. Whoa, okay, dude, you don't have to project. The mics pick up everything. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just, but that's something a lot of actors have to adjust to because, with stage, you have to be bigger. You have to be bigger with your voice, and you have to be bigger with your body so it reaches the last seats in the house. When you're on camera, everything is picked up by the camera. Every little bitty little thing that you do is picked up.
Yeah.
So you have to make things smaller for it. So there's that difference there. But also with stage, you usually have like weeks of rehearsals. So you've by the time that you're actually performing in front of people, you've done it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So you've got it down pat. With film, you might rehearse the scene a few times before you film it, and then you film it, and that's all there is. And as an actor, I'm always discovering new things, especially when I'm doing plays. I'm discovering things from rehearsal to rehearsal, and sometimes from performance to performance. So I'm always changing things and adding things. And you can do that with stage because you have a different audience every night, so it's a different experience. With film, what's filmed is filmed.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, well, okay. And then I've had those moments where I think of something afterwards. I'm like, man, that would have been great to do.
It's like when you get into the argument with the guy at the grocery store, and then you get in the car. You get in the car all pissed off, and you're like thumping the wheel or the steering wheel or whatever, the dashboard. And you're just like, fuck! If I only would have said this, it would have been so cool.
Oh, I would have torn it apart. Oh God. Oh, I know. That's how I feel with some of the stuff I've done on screen. Like, man, I could have added so much more to that, but oh well. It is what it is. It's caught in. Plus, also with stage, you have that instant feedback from the audience. Mm-hmm. So when stuff's working, especially with comedy, because comedy there's so much that you feed off of the energy of the audience and the other actors, and because all deals with timing.
Yeah.
And you don't have that luxury with film because you don't have an audience responding to you, and you're not getting those laughs. So you're like, I have those moments even with Terrifier. I'm like, is this joke landing? And then I don't know until they say cut and the crew starts laughing. I'm like, okay, cool. Okay.
Okay, that worked. We got it.
Yeah. So you just have to trust a lot in the director and also in the editing process too, because there have been so many things where I'm like, how Damien will be like, oh, that was a great take. And I'm like, really? Okay, cool. And then and then is how he edits it. I'm like, oh, I can totally see what you're going for now. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I've always kind of envied that about directors, how they have like these certain, they're able to look at things in a certain way, and they know that they can piece these two, whatever together and be like, yeah, that was fucking epic, dude. I see what you're doing now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like, I can't do that. I've way back in high school, I directed a play, and that was the most stressful thing for me. And I'm like, I'm just not a director. I can't stand it. I'm just like, it was just way too much for me to have to deal with. I was like, I'd rather be concerned about just myself.
Right. I'm kind of intrigued. What was the play?
It was The Emperor's New Clothes.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a good play that someone had written. It was just, what was frustrating for me, because I've always been a big proponent of slapstick comedy. That's always been my thing. I love doing slapstick. I love doing physical comedy, and I just couldn't get the actors to do what I wanted them to do, and it drove me nuts. And I would actually act it out right in front of them, like, do what I do. And they're just like, I'm like, it was just so frustrating at times. So I'm like, okay, just do your own thing.
Right, just do what you do and we'll see if it works.
Yeah.
I had read somewhere that you were really big into comedy first. How was that switch up?
It's been a okay switch up, because there is a lot of comedic elements to art.
Definitely.
So that's been a nice thing to have. So even on set, we'll sometimes do different versions of the same scene. We'll do like a more serious and scary version of the scene, then we'll sometimes do a more comedic version. And it's usually because Damien has an idea for what's going to make it scary, and I'll have some idea for, let's try this little joke that we could do in here. And it's
just kind of
play
blend
around
them
with that.
Nice.
What's that?
I say you just kind of blend them.
Yeah. It's kind of cool in that way. It's a nice relationship that Damien and I have, as actor and director. It's like we have that mutual respect and trust in each other. We know each other's strengths, and we play with those. We're like, okay, cool. Well, and we just see what we come up with together, and it's kind of cool.
I think that really unfolds, or flows would be a better word. I think that really flows out onto the screen, to be honest, too. Like, there's something about the movie where you can feel that everything's really cohesive and tight.
Yeah.
It's really
we even have those moments on set too, where it's like I know when we get the take that's going to work. I can just feel it. I'm like, that really felt good. And Damien's like the same thing. It's like when we're both going, that felt good, or that looked good. I'm like, okay, cool, that's the one we're using.
Man, that sneak peek you guys came out for the second one, that looks really good, man. It looks really good.
Thank you.
It looks like a totally different element than the first one, though.
Yeah, we've really improved on everything, I think, because Damien has listened to probably every single review that's been out there online, in YouTube videos, whatever. He's the good ones and the bad ones, and he's gone through and listened to what people have said and what they think need to be improved on, and that's what he's like, okay, let's tackle these certain things that people think, especially the ones where he knows the same comments over and over again. But he also was like, okay, what are the things people like? Yeah. Let's make sure we keep all of that in here as well.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's a lot. Obviously there's a lot of what people like. I mean, it started.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing All Hallows Eve. Fuck, I don't even know, a while ago. I don't remember, but I remember seeing it, and I was like, that character's kind of cool. He had the original guy. What was his name?
Mike Gianelli.
Yes, him. He he had like to me personally, this is my personal opinion, I'll probably be attacked for it or whatever, but he kind of brought like a classical, scary, like that creepy Victorian clown kind of image. That's the kind of image it presented itself to me. Was like that creepy Victorian era clown, you know, those old ceramic clowns that people would collect. And they had that creepy element to them. That's what he kind of reminded me of. But then, and not to like dog him and raise you up or any shit like that, but when you came out and you had all because I felt like it was just kind of flat-faced with him, and you really show the expressions and like all the little twitches and mouth movements and like nose and cheek and your eyes, like it brings it really to life for me personally. And I really love that aspect that you guys kind of changed or that you brought to it. I'm not sure how that worked out, but it was awesome.
Well, thank you. It's like I attribute a lot of that to Mike, though, because he really set a good, solid foundation for me to like build upon. So I really appreciate what he did for me. It's kind of like, how, Kane Hodder took what all the previous Jasons had done and, still stayed true to that, but he also put his own stamp on it as well.
Yeah.
He built upon it. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to do it. If you're gonna play a character that's already been, is to hold true to the character, but then still add your own little twerks and twitches to it.
Yeah.
But so I gotta ask. Now, like I said, it might be monotonous, but what's your favorite scene?
Oh, my favorite scene's the pizzeria scene.
Love it. Yes.
That was my favorite one just to film because, for one, we were in heat. So it was a lot more comfortable than a lot of other scenes were to film because actually in both films we've been in a lot of cold locations because we've been filming during the winter up here in New York, and so
I heard
it gets cold.
I heard about some building you guys I read it in an article, something about you guys filming in a building with no heat or something like that.
Yeah. Basically, both of the main buildings that we filmed in for the big, huge, the building you see in the movie is multiple buildings, but those two buildings that we filmed in, neither one of them had heat in them. So that was brutal at times, when you're covered in blood, and it's like, especially for poor Catherine, she's upside down naked and covered in blood and it's 20 degrees out. And it's like, God, that was not fun. But going back to the pizzeria scene, it's just like, I think that's the scene that, like, I mean, we don't give Art's origin story in the film, but that scene right there sets up everything you need to know about the character. You see every facet of his being in that scene. You see his playfulness, you see his creepiness, and you also see his sadistic, vile nature as well. And I think that's what's really cool about it. Is there's so much that's said without being said.
Yeah, that's honestly, man, that the pizzeria scene's my favorite too, for the same reasons. Like you really get to see Art express himself in all these different ways. Like he's being playful and flirty, but at the same time you can tell the flirtiness is kind of like dark and like fuck you-ish. Yeah. And I found that
very malicious.
Yeah, exactly. I found that really cool. Even though everybody talks about, obviously the hacksaw scene, that's like the big how-to of the Terrifier, but the pizzeria scene is got to have it for me.
Yeah.
And I did read something, since we're talking about the pizzeria scene. I did read something, the dude you cut his head off. Mm-hmm. Wasn't he the creepy clown in the videos that was going around a few years back?
Yeah, Mike Levy. Yeah. He and his brother and their friend Steve, those two guys were the cops at the end too, but their film production, Fuzz and Lynn's film, they were the guys that did the whole Staten Island clown that started off the whole creepy clown craze where people were standing outside dressed as clowns. They were the first ones to do it. They did it before Wrinkles the Clown, who claims that he's the first to do it. It's like, no, they were doing it about a year before him.
Pay homage.
Oh yeah. And they worked on they were part of our crew for Terrifier 2 as well.
Nice. Yeah, I read that, dude. And when I read that article, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Because I remember when that whole craze was going around. I remember it was everywhere. Everybody was so scared of these clowns. And I thought that was pretty cool that dude was one of like the original. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you cut his head off.
Funny. Oh yeah.
Shows him who the top clown is.
Exactly. It's just a fun little Easter egg there. So
I like that.
That's cool.
And speaking of Easter eggs, I'm a huge fan of Halloween. I have been ever since I was a little kid. The new one where he cuts the cop's head off and shoves the mag light up it to light it up like a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
That's a nice little tip hat to you, huh?
I know. I was like, wait a minute. Some people are like, are you guys upset about that? I'm like, oh my gosh, no. If they actually got that from us, that's amazing. that's like, because like, we wouldn't be where we are if it were not for the original Halloween in the first place. It was like, that's what really set up slashers.
Exactly.
Like, so many slashers owe their existence to Halloween. So if they were, paying homage to us, that's amazing. I am flattered.
Right. I need to find some way out to verify this. You're a big man now. Make some phone calls. Figure it out.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, though, because actually, going back to the Fuzz and Lens guys, they also filmed a spoof video when that Halloween movie came out. They did the Halloween 60, so it was like 60 years later. So it was like where you see it.
Were they the old? He was the old Michael Myers with the walker and shit?
Yes.
No, that was them?
That was them.
Nice.
Yeah, they did that. And so, like, when they did the big premiere out there in Hollywood, they brought them out there to the premiere, so they got to meet all the people that were there for the Halloween 40 premiere.
Dude, that's awesome.
And they went around, and apparently all the Halloween people were like, "Oh gosh, you guys are the Terrifier guys? Oh, we love that movie."
Nice.
So the people that made Halloween 2018 knew about Terrifier, so I wouldn't be surprised if they had seen and they're like, "Hey, that's an idea," and they just maybe thought, "Oh, who knows if this movie's ever going to be seen because it's small, little, low-budget independent film, so maybe we can take this idea and no one's going to notice."
Yeah.
But like awesome. I said, hey, I don't care. It's kind of cool.
Man, that's what, flattery, or how does it go?
Imitation is the finest form of flattery.
There you go. And if that's it, then that's it. But anybody in the horror community, let's be honest, man. Like, I'm not trying to pump your head up at all, but come on. Everybody knows who Art the Clown is. Everybody. And speaking of, like, how crazy is that? For you personally, like, to see people with tattoos. I see people with tattoos on Facebook and shit all the time of Art the Clown and shit. Like, and then I was thinking the other day, I was like, I wonder what he thinks of that.
It's nuts. Like, because I remember when they first started happening, like, Damien and I were like, what? Are you kidding me? Someone wants to have, like, his creation and my face on their body for the rest of their life? That's insane. And Damien was trying to keep a total of them at first, and he just he couldn't keep track of it anymore. It's like, there are just too many of them now. But I'm like, we're still just, I'm like, there are some amazing ones out there too. It's just like, this is it's really cool. We didn't expect any of this because, like, we were a very low budget independent film when we made this thing. I mean, we made it for $50,000. That is it.
Wow.
Yeah. So we didn't expect any of this.
Well, no.
We were just like, we think we have something fun, but like, who knows if it's going to be seen by anybody?
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I saw a really slick, really detailed back. It was a whole back piece, man, and it was like you with like the scalpel and like with a trash can or the trash bag over your other shoulder. It was really detailed. It looked really good, but it was like the whole back piece. I was like, wow,
that is insane.
Yeah, that's the one that made me think. I wonder what he thinks about this. Like, I bet it's just unfathomable at some point.
Well, when we were at our very first convention out in Arizona for Mad Monster Party, a guy named Brad Thornton, he's probably a cousin of mine. Who knows? But like, he got a tattoo at the convention, and so he comes like running up to us. He had been doing it for like 4 or 5 hours, and like, so we're at an after party, and like, his friend comes over and pulls Damien, and I'm like, dude, this guy just got a tattoo of you guys. We're like, what? So it was like that was like the beginning of it, because this was like before we even released on Netflix. So we had not really totally exploded yet. So we're just like, what? People are getting tattoos of us? Holy crap.
Yeah. That's when I first saw the Terrifier, was on Netflix. I had a chance to see it. I was visiting back home. I was out in Denver, and it was, unfortunately, I was leaving to come back right before the Horror Film Fest up in Telluride.
Yeah.
And a couple buddies of mine went, And I was like, what movies are playing? Because I'm, like I said, I've been into horror since way back when. So I was like, what kind of movies are playing? Anything look good at all, or is it all just, the same old recycled trash? And they told me about the Terrifier. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. But they're like, man, just stay a couple extra days. You'll make it. I was like, dude, I got to get back to work, man. I can't. And so, so I missed out on that opportunity. But then I started dating. Yeah. I started dating a girl that actually I'm currently still with. And cool. Yeah, I mean, we were hanging out. I came over, we went to dinner, and then we went back to her place, and we were chilling in her room and scrolling through Netflix trying to find something to watch, and saw you, and I was like, that title, something's ringing a bell here, but I couldn't place it. I was like, let's watch that. That looks kind of cool. And then after that, dude, I was like, after the pizzeria scene, to be honest, I was like, dude, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is what the horror genre needs right now.
Yeah.
In all honesty, that's what I think, dude. Like, and like I said, I hate to like keep pumping you up, but but at the same time, like the way I see it, like throughout the horror genre, right? The next biggest thing has always pushed the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
That envelope was a lot smaller back in the day, so they didn't need to show as much blood and guts and all that. But I feel like with the evolution of the internet and people being exposed to anything and everything pretty much, I feel like naturally that envelope got bigger. You know what I mean? And honestly, like I feel like that void has been here for a while. And like finally the Terrifier broke out and was like, hey, we're going to cut this envelope all to hell and here you go. And that was the next big thing. I mean, to me, that's kind of like, I think Scream is really underrated in my opinion. I really love Ghostface, the character, everything about it, even like the movie within a movie about it. Like I love all of that. But I think what really brought Scream out was that it was new. You know what I mean? It's not Halloween 48. It's not Nightmare on Elm Street 32. Like it's something new. It's a new character with a new dynamic and new demons and new dimensions, and so it really pops that out. And what made Scream big for me was like the whole phone aspect. Yeah. Because that's really when cell phones, I mean, they were still granted in like, the big pouches in the car and shit like that at the time. But like, I remember that shit, man. And, but it really brought that aspect like, oh, this is going to be, or this has been, and it's only going to get more like involved in your daily life. And here's a reason to be afraid of it, kind of deal with me. Like he used that as a weapon. Yeah. And I really liked that aspect of it. And I think that's what you guys did. I think you guys pushed that envelope again. You weren't afraid to show all the blood and the guts and the really like just grimy stuff about the reality. Well, the imaginary reality about it, but like just the grittiness, like the no CGI thing.
Well, that's what we wanted to do is like, we wanted to get back to basics. Basically, this is like, this movie is a huge homage and love letter to slashers, especially the grindhouse slashers, the B movies and all that kind of stuff. It was intentional. Like, I know some people complain, oh, there's very little plot. I'm like, duh. It's like, look at the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's no plot to that either.
No,
it's just a bunch of people out there come across this house of crazy people.
Yeah,
and try to survive. That's it.
So without
the other films that really built upon that, the mythos, but it was like that's how so many of these franchises started off. It was just like there was very little plot in a lot of them, and they were just they were like us. They were independent films, and that's what we were going for. This was a horror film by horror fans for horror fans, and so we didn't want to pull back on the gore or anything like that. We want to do the crazy over the top kills, especially with prosthetics instead of CG. I mean, there's a little bit of CG in the film, but it's not meant to really. We only used it because we couldn't do it otherwise. It's like when I had like the blood oozing out of my eyes at the end after I had shot myself. That's when we did it. Or they had to do it to do a few corrections where I'm wearing the Buffalo Bill costume, because most people don't notice, but I'm also wearing her vajayjay.
I didn't notice that.
a funny story behind it is like that morning, Damien calls me up and is like, Dave, do you have a cock sock you can bring? And I'm like, a what? He's like,
that's a funny phone call.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, I just have a cock sock just lying around. He's like, no, just something to cover up your stuff so, we don't see it on screen. So he's like, just bring a sock with you. So I brought a bright white tube sock. I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Should have brought a black one. So there you could see this, like, originally you could see the tube sock underneath because you just saw this bright whiteness down there. And so he had to use some CG just to erase that.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's how I think CG should be used, especially in horror films. It should, I hate it when I see horror films where they do fake blood, where you have like the fake blood spurts and like the fake pools of blood because they don't want to, reuse different shirts over and over and over again. So they do the CG blood pool coming out. And it's like, it just doesn't look the same.
Exactly. And I think you guys made up for it a lot with the other stuff that you didn't use CG for. Like, honestly, like, it sounds kind of twisted, and forgive me, I guess, but when she's upside down and you like, you rip her panties off and you like have that grin and you're looking down and then you pull the hacksaw out and like you start going to work or whatever, and you can see, now, was this a prosthetic or like when you were making the song motion, was that a prosthetic?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because it was really good. Like you could see like the upper thigh and like the lower butt like jiggling as you cut it and shit. Like that really set it. Like when I saw that part, I was like, wow, these guys put a lot of hard work into this shit.
Yeah. They made a full body cast of her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. Damien went out of his way on it. And Damien did all of that himself, too. And he's done the same thing for part 2. We actually originally had some guys that were supposed to help him make prosthetics, but they ended up not doing it at the last minute. So Damien had to make all the prosthetics himself. But I think Damien even improved on everything in part 2. It's like, of course, you haven't seen it yet, but it's like the kills of this are crazier than the first film. I think it's just like the one that we filmed a few weeks ago. Oh my god, it took us about 5 days to film it because it's so prosthetic heavy. There's so many elements in this scene, and it's just, by the end of it, it's vicious. It is a mean, vicious kill, and I think people are gonna hate Art by the end of this kill because it's just Damien, even like when he was in the middle of editing it, he contacted me by text and he's like, Dave, I'm kind of getting a little lightheaded right now from editing this thing. And I'm like, dude. Wow. And he's never told me that before. He's like, dude, you created this. This is making you lightheaded? Oh my God, people are going to be freaking out then when they see this. And he was showing it to like family members, like a rough cut of it during like Christmas, and like his niece freaked out during it. So I'm like, oh, that's good. So it's like, I mean, this movie is definitely not getting a light R rating. It's getting a hard R. I think if we actually released it in in theaters, we would have an NC-17 rating easily in the first like 5 minutes of the film.
Nice. That's like a gold stamp of approval, in my opinion.
I think so too. It's like I even told him, like, if we got an NC-17 rating, let's run with it. We could be like one of the most successful NC-17 movies out there.
Dude,
it's like, wear that with a badge of honor. But like, yeah, okay, look, this is, because I kind of equated, how Terrifier is versus all these other horror films right now. Like Hollywood, a lot of the slashers out there in Hollywood right now are like pop music. Terrifier is like rock and roll or punk.
Exactly, like the underground, like grungy, dirty thing. That's yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's such a
it's
cool.
Like we're
reference.
Heavy metal. It's like we're that. We're the outliers. There. we're the ones not afraid to go places, and we embrace it. We don't try to like pull back from it.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't. Like I said, I think that's what makes great horror movies great. And like, I read somewhere too that this is the idea all along has been to make a trilogy. Is that accurate or?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And like, we already know where we want to, at least how we want to start part 3 and end part 3.
Gotcha.
So we just have to figure out everything in between now.
Yeah.
And we've already started spitballing ideas for kill scenes in it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's crazy. That's part of the fun. Is like I imagine this is how it is for like the designers of like Mortal Kombat coming up with the fatalities. It's just like how we're just coming up with crazy over the top kills and like let's see how we can implement this. It's like we're always coming up with ideas, and sometimes we had ideas for like like some ideas for part 2 that just weren't able to make it into the film.
Mm-hmm.
Because time constraints and stuff like that, and budgetary issues. So it's like, oh well, we could say that for part 3 or something like that. We can implement that in a different way. And it's like, yeah, well, yeah.
So with all the videos and people guessing and throwing all these theories out there, I'm not gonna ask you to divulge too much.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a hard but, by the way.
So is the Kardashians.
You did, my man. Silicone gets hard after a while, man. So with the second one, with the upcoming one, are you guys gonna kind of shine a little light on Art's background? What makes Art tick? Is that gonna be
a little bit?
Okay.
Yeah. There's going to be a little bit. There's going to be some clues here or there, but we're not just totally just going, hey, he's this and this, and this.
That's awesome. That's what I wanted to hear.
We offer clues.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Especially, there's a really clever clue in there that it's in a prop that may be seen for like a hot second or so in the film. And I'm like, oh, and it actually delves into his backstory some. And I'm like, oh, we'll just have to flesh that out more in part 3, but I'm hoping people catch it.
Nice. There you go, people.
Yeah,
there you go.
Kind of stuff.
Look for the props.
Yeah.
So with you, because you sound like a down-to-earth kind of in comedy and theater and everything. So how do you transition to Art? Like, who is Art to you?
I look at him as being like my 2 ways of looking at him is like he's an evil version of Mr. Bean.
I love Mr. Bean.
Like a bastard child of Harpo Marx and Freddy Krueger.
So what aspects of Marx are in there? But I mean, besides the obvious.
Oh yeah, it's more like the silent comedy.
Yes.
It's like he has the horn, he has the hat, just like Harpo in a lot of ways.
Yeah. That's the part that's the thing I love about Art too, is he's so good at expressing himself and actually, unlike other slashers, but he still has that quiet kind of pushes and pulls you at the same time. I really love that aspect.
Oh, that's what I love about the makeup with him, because he looks creepy, but like the makeup gives me a lot of expression. I can really express my intent a lot, because it basically is like a second skin. So I'm not hidden behind like a plain like a hockey mask or something like that, where you can't show expression on your face. So it's nice being able to have that free range of expression. So even though he doesn't talk, you can just tell by his mannerisms and his facial expressions what his thought processes are. And that's what I really enjoy about him. It's like I can do that with them. I bring that clowning aspect into it. It's kind of like how Emmett Kelly did that a lot with his characters.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely.
And same with Harpo. It's just like that a lot of those silent clowns did that. Because, especially back in the silent film days where you couldn't rely on, dialogue.
Yeah.
You had to do it all with, your actions.
And speaking of the bastard child of Freddy, I heard you guys were kind of up there with the makeup time. Because I know Robert Englund sat in that chair for a long time getting that Freddy makeup on, and I've heard the same for you. Yeah,
it's about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Give or take, yeah.
And Damien does all that, you said, right?
Yeah. He doesn't want other people to do it.
Is that like a OCD?
One or 2 times we had someone else doing it, and he was like, he just couldn't handle it. He's like, he's so particular about everything. He's like, he knows exactly how it needs to sit on my face and how it needs to look, and he's like, no, just let me do it.
So it's kind of like because I was wondering, I was like, when you said that, I was like, is it like a OCD thing or like a control thing, or
it's his baby.
Exactly. That's
his creation.
That's what just brought me to that. Yeah, it's his baby. Yeah. I mean, he's meticulous is the key. You want everything on point.
He's very meticulous. He is very meticulous on set, where we'll do the same shot over and over and over and over and over again, even if it's like just a B-roll type shot where it's just like, okay, let's just do a pan.
Yeah.
Because he wants it's very Kubrickish at times, where it's like he wants everything to look. He knows exactly how he wants everything to look.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to get that shot
Come hell or high water, huh?
Oh yeah, I've seen him just like he'll like show my tools sitting on a table, and he'll be over there meticulously just moving everything just a millimeter or so until he gets the exact angle he wants each of those tools sitting. And I'm like, that's insane.
I can relate.
But he knows exactly how he wants it to look, and then when you see it on screen, you're like, I totally see why you did that now.
Right. How does this easygoing David Howard Thornton turn into the silent, psycho, demented, possessed, possibly Art the Clown? How do you get in that mind state?
Lack of sleep. Because we'll have we'll have like 15 to sometimes 20-hour days on set, and we have to do it the next day. So, and then we're in like these cold, miserable conditions. So I just channel that misery into the character at times. Because I also get a little bit just delusional. I'm like, well, I'm going to just put this delusion into the character now too.
That's kind of cool. We're up Schitt's Creek, but I'm going to put on a happy face.
Yeah, exactly. It's how it goes at times. Like, I would say like a majority of both films, like what you're seeing of me on screen, I'm pretty much just worn out while I'm filming, because it's like I'm in that delusional state of mind, because it's like, oh yeah, I've probably been on set by that point by over 10 hours, so I'm just kind of like yeah.
That's all. So do you have any, I guess what I'm asking is, do you have any like pre-film or pre-take rituals, like anything to get you in the zone? Like, how do you get in the Art the Clown zone?
I'm weird with that kind of stuff, where it's like, as soon as I'm in the makeup, I pretty much understand the character by that point anyways, but as soon as I'm in the makeup, I usually sit in front of a mirror for about 30 minutes and just make faces and just seeing how everything reads. And that also helps me just really fully get into the mindset of the character. I don't know how this works, but it just works for me. And after that, I can just turn it on and turn it off. I understand the character in my head. I can just bring him in, bring him out. I might, like if it's a more, and this I am with every character I play.
Oh, wow.
But if like it's a more emotional scene, I might need to take just a few seconds just to psych myself up if I have to get angry or something like that. I was like, okay, let me just take a few seconds. But I'm like, I don't do the full Jared Leto, I'm going to be in character the whole entire time.
Yeah.
No. So, I mean, I will be on set and I'll be goofing around with my fellow actors until they're like, okay, rolling. And then I just go into the face. Wow. I put on my angry face. And I think sometimes it has kind of been a little bit disarming for my co-stars, because one second I'm just David and the next second, oh God, it's Art.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would. I mean, it would be kind of. I think I'm the type of person that would have to walk around like Art all day. Like, hey, we need some lunch, and I'd be like, I'll go get it, just dressed up still. Like, I'm gonna go fuck with everybody. Like, I don't know. That's really cool that you have the power to flip that switch like that, though.
Yeah, that's just how I've always been. It's like, different actors have their own methods, and that's just my method. And I think my co-stars are kind of happy that that's my method, because I think otherwise I'd be a miserable person to work with on set.
Creepy fuck walking around all the damn time. Yeah.
Because I know, like, there have been cases, I think, like when Kane Hodder was doing hatchets and stuff like that. Like, yeah. He would just not be around the other actors.
Oh, just so he could stay in the zone.
Yeah, and also it just made them more scared of him.
Oh, yeah, okay, so they weren't. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, it's like, it's whatever the actors. They're like, no, if there's like an actor I work with that needs that from me, then I'll give that to him. I was like, okay, fine, okay, we'll talk after we're done filming. Then we'll have fun, but while we're on set, if you need that from me so you can get in that mindset, sure, whatever you need.
Yeah. So how are you? You said that you guys didn't expect this to happen like this. So how are you dealing with your quote unquote newfound fame or whatever? I mean, you're getting you're getting tattooed on people's butt cheeks and titties and shit. Like, that's got to be crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's still sinking in. I'm like, I still live with two roommates in the crappy little New York apartment. So I'm just like, yeah, it is what it is. I'm looking for the day where I can finally just move out on my own and get my own place, probably move out to California and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm still me.
Well, that's good though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
good to be grounded and stay grounded like that.
Yeah. It's plus, like people don't usually know what I look like outside of makeup anyway.
There
So
you
it's
go.
just like I had that little bit of anonymity. I had I would say like a humbling moment too. A few months ago in October, they have a Spirit Halloween store a few blocks down the street from me, and I decided to go in it one day, and I'm like, oh, let's see if they have any of our like trick or treat studio costumes in here or something, anything else regarding us. So I went in, didn't see anything, so I just asked the guy working there, I was like, "You guys have any Terrifier costumes or anything like that?" And the guy's like, "What's Terrifier?"
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, people keep asking me that, and I don't know what this Terrifier
Why
is.
the fuck are you working here, sir?
And I explained to him, like, "Oh yeah, I'm the actor from it." He's like, "Oh, that's nice." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Sir, go work.
Yeah, that brought me down to earth. So.
Right, go apply at the Hallmark store, sir. Your services are no longer required.
Like, what are you doing here? That's like someone that is like lactose intolerant working at like a cheese factory or something like that.
Right. Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
I got the Tots mask, and I really like it. I thought they did a really good job. I don't know how much effort you guys had.
Especially for a budget price mask.
Dude, for sure.
It's a really, yeah.
I don't know. Did you guys have any input on the mask or anything like that? Like, how did they get the mold and the sculpt and shit?
I don't know per se. I think they just kind of looked at photos, but they also asked for like just photos of my actual face too.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I have no idea. How they did it, but I was like, yeah, it works for me. I'm looking forward to them finally releasing our action figure. I guess that's going to come out sometime later this year. I thought it was supposed to come out last year, but I guess COVID kind of put a damper on some things.
Yeah, so. I saw that on their page, and I was like, shit, dude, that thing looks fucking awesome. And I'm not really that type, but I've become that type slowly. And I was looking at it, I was like, yep, putting money away for that right now.
I'm excited.
Dude, like I said, like to me, you guys are like, and not to, because you can't compare them. You really can't. They're so different. But like, because my generation, like I was born in 85. I'll be 36 in March. So like, obviously the originals and stuff played a part, and the younger one, or the earlier ones, like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is my favorite, right?
Yeah, mine too. I love that one.
Nice, with like the needles for fingers and shit like that for the heroin junkie and all that.
Oh my god!
Like that was fucking
puppet,
epic.
The marionette puppet with the nerves and oh my god, that was so good.
Exactly. But like for my generation, like when I got to like, because I think I was in like 7th grade maybe, is when the first Scream came out. And for me, that was like, holy shit, this is the slasher of my generation. There's something I can, relate a little more to and shit like that. Because I was old enough to understand everything a little more, I guess. And I think that's what you guys are for this new generation. Like, you're that new fucking just, I would hate to do it to him, but you guys may be looking at like a fucking 8-picture deal coming up pretty soon if this second one knocks it out of the park like the first one, dude.
I would be happy with that. I love the character so much. He's so much fun to play. So if we can keep on coming up with fun stories to tell about him, sure. It's like, but that's the thing. It's like we don't want to get hammy with it.
Exactly.
We don't want to. Exactly. We don't want to totally jump the shark like a lot of other franchises did after a while. We want to keep it grounded and true to the character and true to the feel of the originals of why people like them so much. But find ways to evolve it further as well. But.
Jason goes to space.
Yeah. But those are the things that, we'll have to address further down the line.
Yeah. I don't know how, because it just seemed like all of a sudden, because like I remember watching it when it first hit Netflix and nobody had really heard about it yet. So I'm telling all my friends like, hey, if you haven't seen this, you need to check this shit out. And then all of a sudden it just seemed like a couple months later, just boom, it was everywhere.
Yeah. We were like one of the top rated horror films on Netflix the whole entire time we were on there for those 2 years. I was like, that's considering all the other horror films that were on there especially from the big studios, that was pretty impressive. I was like, wow, we're like the little engine that could. Right,
David versus Goliath and all that.
Yeah,
I love
that. But that's the thing. It's like when you make a film, when you have people make a film that are true fans of the genre themselves.
Mhm.
I think that's when you'll get the better product, and that's what we were. I think.
Oh, easily.
Like it's like I said earlier, it's just a horror film made by horror fans for horror fans.
I think that passion really comes through the screen too. I think that makes a huge difference as opposed to like the big name productions that come out, like they're entertaining and you're familiar with the story and the characters, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't have that. It doesn't have that passion anymore to it. You don't feel that same holy shit.
Yeah.
And I think
it's harder to shock people now too.
Exactly.
So much has been done.
Mm-hmm. And like that's what I was saying. I think the envelope got so big, and finally somebody came along, i.e., you guys, and you're just like, "Fuck this envelope. We'll cut it up and piss on it and light it on fire."
Yep.
And dude, I respect that. That's awesome. You got to have a lot of balls to come out like out of nowhere with the Terrifier movie, in my opinion.
Yep. Well, we definitely got those balls. You'll see it in part 2. I tell you, it's like, oh boy. Because that's what we decided to do. Like, let's just swing for the fences on these kill scenes. It's like there is some gratuitous violence in this next one.
Nice.
It's mean and vicious and vile and just disgusting.
Nice.
But in a fun way. We still make it fun. All those kills are fun, but horrible.
I think that's what keeps him likable too. For whatever reason. I mean, like people actually like Art the Clown as a character. Like I look at him and I'm just like, holy fuck, dude! If I saw that dude in an alley after I left the bar or something, holy shit, I'd piss my pants.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I think that's what makes a good horror villain, where it's like you like them, but you're also afraid of them at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So what? Fuck, I had a blank.
I have that happen all the time. Just wait till you get to your 40s.
Shit, dude. I got 4 more years, man. I got 4 more years.
Enjoy them. Enjoy them.
Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about. You said so you were in an unheated building in that scene where she was upside down and naked?
Yes.
Wow.
It was,
and was that in the wintertime?
Part of, yeah, it was in January.
In Trenton?
Here in New York City, it's on Staten Island. It's called Seaview Mental Hospital. It's in an abandoned part of the complex.
Yeah.
It's a building that was badly damaged by the hurricane that came through in 2012.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's like it was crazy. It was like an old part of this. The whole building was just spooky. It was a spooky building because we're like the tunnels we're filming in down there were like the tunnels they used to bring the TB patients after they died.
Oh wow!
Through them, yeah. Those are those little TV tunnels that you'd see in a lot of those kind of facilities, so they didn't have to wheel the infected patients through everybody else.
Yeah.
Kind of hide the bodies from everybody, and like, in that room we were filming in was the furnace room.
Oh, were they cremated?
Burned the body. Yeah.
Oh wow! That just added a cool, more creepier vibe to that scene for me.
Well, that same scene, that same room was also used. It was just you don't notice it. But it's from different perspectives, the same room where I'm strangling Victoria with the plastic wrap.
That's yeah. Okay.
To the right of us are those furnaces.
Oh wow, that's awesome! Holy shit!
It's a creepy room. It's a disgusting room too. It's just like so much like stuff.
Yeah.
Was floating around there. I'm like, who am I breathing in right now? I'm like, oh.
Did you guys get that done in one take then with her being upside down or?
No, that took a few hours.
What?
We would only let her hang upside down for about 30 seconds at a time because it's so dangerous. So we only had like 30 seconds to film.
Well, yeah, the blood rushing.
And then we'd swing her back up, let her rest. Yeah, it was dangerous. Very dangerous. But she did it. She did it without any real complaints. I mean, she had blood going in her eyes occasionally or up her nose, so it makes when you're upside down, it makes it hard to breathe. And
yeah, for sure.
She just got some in my eyes. We're like, okay, let her rest and get this out of her eyes. That stuff stings.
Yeah, I bet. Nice, super chill and laid back about it too. I got blood in my eyes, guys. Can we start again?
Yeah, she'd just be ow, but like. Considering the position she's in, very compromising position,
for sure.
Naked in front of a bunch of guys.
Make it as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the thing. It's like we were all extremely professional that night. That was like the one night there was no joking around on set because we knew how dangerous it was, and we knew what a vulnerable state that she had to be in for that. So we were like, okay, let's just make this as comfortable as possible for her.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of balls on her part too to be able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah. That's the thing. We had other people that, wanted to do the film, but they just didn't want to do that scene because they knew what they're going to have to do. But Catherine was like, she looked at it from the right perspective. She's like, this is going to be historic. This is going to be this is going to be the scene that everybody's going to talk about. This is going to be the scene that makes the film.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you thought when you first read the script?
Yeah. She's like, I'm totally on board with this. This is awesome. It's a great idea.
Nice. And you could only film for 30 seconds? Is that how you guys did it, you said?
Yeah, 30 seconds at a time. So it's power of really good editing.
I'd say so. Power of her, too, to hold on. Like, I don't know. That'd mess up my equilibrium or something, I think.
It did, actually. She had some inner ear problems for a few days afterwards.
Oh, wow. Well, hats off to her, man.
Yeah, it's like she's the MVP of that film, I think, because she gave it her all for that scene. It's like that's what I've been amazed with my co-stars in these films. It's like I can be a little whiny bitch at myself at times where I'm just like I get a little bit uncomfortable and I get a little blood in my eyes. I'm like ow 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 ow. And like especially these women I'm working with, they're in both films. They're doing insane things. They're covered in blood and they're basically states of undress.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Lauren Lavera, who's our female lead in this next one. Like the costume she's wearing for most of the film is next to nothing.
Yeah,
and it's not a comfortable costume to wear. She was chafing all over because of that thing.
I bet.
And it was constantly falling apart. And, then she's having to be covered in blood and all this. And, like, the places we were filming were not comfortable with temperature. And she's exhausted because we've been filming, several hours a day for several days straight. And she's like, she's not complaining at all.
Is that the character
I
you're
would complain for her. I was like, she's cold. Someone warm her up. And she's like, you want to sit in front of the heater? I'm like, no, you sit in front of that heater. It's like, stop looking out for me. You look out for yourself. And like, I have more layers on than you do, and I know I'm miserable, and I know you are very miserable. And it's like, she kicks ass. I was like, that's what it is. Like, like when they talk about girls being weak, I'm like, no, these girls are freaking amazing. They're so strong. It's like the stuff they have to go through for this.
Well, they say women have a higher pain tolerance than men because of the whole childbirth shit and all that.
That and like having that monthly visitor every month.
Yeah. I couldn't deal with that. I'd be a little bitch curled up. I don't give a shit. Who knows it?
I start bitching when I'm on my knees for too long because my knees start to hurt. I'm like, ow, 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 ow. I'm getting a leg cramp. And I'm like, God, I sound like such a whiny bitch compared to these girls.
So is that the character that you're like going at it with in the trailer, like slamming heads against mirrors and shit? That's the character?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. That's oh, boy. I will say, like, the last 15 minutes of this film, once it starts going, it just keeps going.
Oh, wow.
It's just balls to the wall, just craziness.
Nice. You know what my favorite art move is, though? I've been wanting to say this to you, so I'm just going to kind of break in here and say this right now. Fucking, when you're in the pizzeria scene, and she's acting like, a normal, like, intoxicated kind of girl nowadays, how they just have no kind of anything. And she comes over and she's like, I'm going to take a selfie with you, and like boops you on the nose. And then like right before you pull out the hatchet when she's upside down and you give her that little like boop and then the selfie afterwards, dude. That shit, that's what sold art to me. I'm going to be honest. That little exchange, that back and forth was fucking awesome. Like
I attribute, like, Damien wrote the selfie stuff in. So that's all him. But like, I attribute the boop to her because that's just something she just did in the moment. And I'm like, when she did it, I'm like, keep doing that because I just came up with an idea to come full circle with that.
Nice. So it was like a real deal kind of behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
Because that's why art does
that
it,
kind
right?
Of stuff. I love those kind of little happy accidents where someone will just do something, and I'm like, that was brilliant. Okay, we can use that later on. Especially with comedy, you know, comedy is supposed to come full circle with things, and I thought that was an excellent moment. I was like, thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, maybe that's what really sold it then, is like it was a real kind of improv thing, but at the same time, like, so.
Well, I always look at it just like, you know, you don't mess with his hat.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
That's just like, you mess with his hat, he's like, okay.
So we're doing this, huh?
Now. So we're gonna dance now. It's like, it is on like Donkey Kong. It's like, awesome. We've kept that idea for part 2 as well, so you'll know it when you see it.
I've read somewhere that there is I'm not asking you to divulge too much. I don't want to get anybody in trouble or me beat up or anything like that. That there's a big scene in the new one where a lot of people die. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So at the same time kind of deal? Like, I'm not going to ask too much. Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. Mm-hmm. He said, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now back to questions you can answer. So wow, I didn't know Damien did the special effects too. That's really cool. No wonder. I mean, shit, come on, guys. No wonder it's taken this long to edit. Like, let the man be.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he's a one-man army, but he's just one man.
I'm saying. But he's still an army. You just got to let him be that one man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves editing. That's his favorite thing to do, he says, because for him, it's like putting a puzzle together.
No, that's a good way to put that. I've just seen in a lot of the horror groups and different things I'm on social media, like, when is Terrifier 2 coming out? What's taking so long with art? Like, almost every day I'm seeing these posts, and I'm just like, geez, guys, like.
Well, you do realize we've been having a pandemic, right? It's like we were almost finished filming in March when we had to go into lockdown.
Ugh.
It was like it was so annoying.
Yeah,
so
what
like,
a kick in the dick.
But at the same time, I think it was beneficial to us in some ways because Damon was able to really flesh out some of the kill scenes that we had not yet filmed yet. He's like, well, I'm going to take this extra time now to add more to them.
Ooh.
It's like the scene we just filmed. We actually started filming the beginning parts of it in February.
Yeah.
And we were just going to do the last bits of it later on with the prosthetics he was going to build.
Yeah.
We scrapped everything that we had originally filmed because he just added more to it, and I'm so glad we did because he just added so much more to the scene. It was how we originally intended it to go was fun.
Yeah.
And I think he just bumped it up to the next level with just the craziness. It's just like, oh my God. And he did that also with the first scene in the film too, is just like how it was originally written. And then he just had more time to build the prosthetics and flesh it out more. Yeah. And I think it's actually helped us in some way.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, I would take that as kind of like a blessing, to be honest. Like, to be able to have that time and opportunity to be like, okay, well, now that what if, coulda, shoulda, woulda kind of deal, like, let's take the time to maybe let's do these and see if it fits. And, there's no regret there afterwards. There's no there's no punch in the steering wheel being like, oh, if I only said that to that fucking jerk. I would take that as a blessing.
I'm kind of in a weird way grateful for it because we weren't so rushed, because I was like, because even then I was like, how are we going to get all this stuff done in time? How is it going to be able to build all this stuff? I know, because I knew these are all so, prosthetic heavy. I'm like, man, he's got to have time to build all this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now he did have that time, and I think it's been for the benefit of the film, especially with that first scene. Is just like, because that's how he approached this. Is like, people always remember the beginning of a film and the ending of a film. Mm-hmm. If you have an awesome ending and an awesome beginning, people will forgive the things that happen in between. And so that's how we approach this film. It's like, let's start it off with a bang and end it with a bang.
He does a really good job on his prosthetics.
Oh yeah. Oh, like, you haven't seen anything yet because he's up to skills on these prosthetics.
Oh, like, shit.
2 of the prosthetics he made, these full body casts of the actors that we're using for this look just like them. Nice. And he even put mechanics in so they're breathing.
Oh shit.
So it's just like it's very unnerving at times.
Holy
Like, oh my
fuck.
God, I thought that was such and such and so, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is just the wow.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
It's just
Oh my God.
photorealistic. I'm like, this is amazing.
Nice. I cannot wait for this movie. I
Yeah,
cannot
especially
wait.
one that, like this prosthetic he built for this big huge kill scene. It is something else. Like when I walked in the room and saw this thing, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So are you guys aiming for a 2021 release?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely. We want to get it out this year. We're so ready for everybody to see this thing. We're so excited.
You're going to have a pop figure soon, ain't you? A little
Yeah,
Funko
I hope
Pop?
so. I would love that. I've been wanting one of those for so long. And I think this film is going to lend itself to so many variations.
Oh, ooh, nice.
Oh, yeah. They're different costumes. You know, some people actually picked up on one of the costumes in the trailer, and I'm like, wow, good eye.
I'm going to have to look at the trailer again. Shit.
Uh-huh. It's actually my favorite costume that I wore, and I was like, I had so much fun wearing this thing, and I was like, oh, this is too funny. This is too funny. I had way too much fun on set that night I was wearing that.
So how did you hear about the clown role? How did you hear about this role?
I just saw an advertisement, not advertisement, but a notice, casting notice online for it. That's how. And I told my agents, please submit me for this because I think I'm perfect for this.
Yeah. And is there like descriptions in that? Like, did you know? Was there any kind of? Oh, okay. So
well, I had seen All Hallows Eve, so I already knew who the character was.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yeah, but then they were looking for a tall, skinny guy that had clowning or physical comedy experience.
No.
Or they said the quote unquote role of a lifetime.
Bing.
And I'm like, I said, this is it. And I'd always been wanting to get into film.
Yeah, right.
And I looked at this. I mean, I didn't know at the time. I did not know where this was going to actually go. I just looked at this as like, would be a great, if I got this role, this would be a great way to get my foot in the door in the film industry. I could have this on my resume. This would be great for a demo reel. I didn't think it was going to explode like this.
Little did you know you were about to roll out the red carpet.
Yeah, did not expect any of that. So I was like, holy crap, well, this worked out well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So real quick, maybe you can help me out with this. Every time I've watched it, I've tried to absorb so much of the character to try to figure it out. What's with the homeless lady and the baby doll?
We might explore that more in future films, so
Shit.
I don't want to say anything because I love that character.
So do I, but I just can't figure out her place is what bothers the shit out of me.
We came up with something interesting for her.
Okay.
I think. It's something Damien and I collaborated with because I was very adamant about it because I love this character. I was like, there's so much more potential with this character that we could examine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't want that just to be it because I'm like, I think that's, it was just because the actress that played her Puya, she brought so much to that character because it could have been your stereotypical just crazy cat lady type character, crazy homeless woman. It's like, but she brought a real sense of humanity to that character.
The mother's
realness
touch part.
to that character. And I was like, wow. It was like because I was expecting your typical just crazy lady character. And when I was doing that scene with Puya, I was like, she almost brought me to tears in that scene.
With the mother's touch?
Yeah. I was like, she was like, because she was just crying right there on set. I'm like, and I had to like, okay, Dave, don't don't cry.
You're Art the Clown. You're Art the Clown. You're Art the Clown.
You're Art. You're going to kill her. You're suckering her in. You want to kill her. And I had to do that because I was engrossed with her performance. I was like, I want to see more with this character somehow.
That's what she was with me too. She stood out so much and she did such a great job, but it was just like, it was like here in a second, gone in a flash kind of thing. And I'm like, where does she fit in and what's going on?
Because there was something that always stood out to me is how it seemed like she knew who Art the Clown was.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes.
Like she nailed him. Like she's like, he's this. He does this because he thinks it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
She nailed his character right there. He does he does this because he thinks it's funny. And that to me spoke in my head. I was like, they've got to have a past.
Mm-hmm.
These two have got to have some kind of past.
Nice.
So that's something I want to see us explore more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for as much as you can tell me.
Yeah.
It kind of answered my
And
question.
I hope we do explore that more. I mean, I can't guarantee it, but I'm like,
yeah.
That's something I personally want to explore more because I think there's something really cool that we could do there with that character.
There was great chemistry between the two, between you and her.
Yeah.
I thought it was that one scene was just like, wow, like
she's
you didn't
so
know
good.
Exactly. You didn't know what to do with Art after that. You're like, do I hate him? Do I like him? Do I feel sorry for him? Does he need
it confuses people because I get
exactly.
that people are like, well, did she actually reach Art or was he messing around with her? And I mean, my answer to that is like, oh yeah, he was messing around with her. I think Art's one of those characters where he understands everybody's vulnerabilities, and he knows how to play with those vulnerabilities.
Yeah, he does seem like a very calculated psycho, in my opinion, which is awesome. Yeah. It adds that whole kind of like Hannibal Lecter kind of degree to it with the clever intelligence kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
he understood that about her. So yeah, that's the easiest way to bring her in is to
steal her baby doll.
Side. Yeah, it's like through that. You can draw her in that way.
Yeah. I'm going to steal her pretend baby and see how she likes it.
Yep.
It's messed up, man. I like your style.
Baby Emily.
So that's awesome. Everybody's super excited to see it. But I've heard you've been working on some new things.
Yeah. Back last fall, it was just a small cameo role I did for this film called The Dark Offerings.
Okay.
That was filmed exclusively over Zoom during this pandemic, which is really cool. So
really?
I'm in the very beginning of the movie, so it's fun. They just wrote this part for me. They're like, Dave, you want to be part of this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Gives me something to do.
Right.
So I did that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had been telling people I was going to be filming this. It's a movie called Time's Up. They're in the middle of filming it right now. But unfortunately, that didn't work out because of SAG regulations and stuff like that with COVID. They weren't able to have me be a part of the film. And I was like, dang it. But I've read the whole script for this movie called Time's Up. And it's Damon Maffei and Elsie Holt and Felissa Rose is involved with it. And it's going to be a fun film, so I can't wait for that to come out. Even though I'm not part of it anymore, I still consider myself part of the team in that way. But I can't wait for people to see that. And next week, we've already started filming this, but next week it's with the Fuzz and Lens guys. Actually, They are starting up what we're hoping is going to be a horror franchise called Stream.
Okay.
And I play one of the bad guys in it. It's got a pretty awesome cast in it too. Some of it has been divulged. You can see it on IMDb, so I can divulge that like Jeffrey Combs is the main bad guy in it, which is freaking awesome. Reanimator himself. So I'm just like that.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I hope I get to watch him work some on set. I'm just like, ooh, he's so good. He's such a good character actor. So I'm like, I can't say who they are yet, but I'm very excited doing this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun role.
Can you give us any kind of plot layout or anything? General?
No, I can't yet.
Nice. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, but you can garner a little bit just by the name of it, Stream.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
It's
nice
a fun concept though, and it's just like the ideas that they have for making this like a trilogy are really cool.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, so that's the intent. They do have a trilogy in mind for this, so it's like it's kind of cool.
That's awesome. I love the new additions that have been coming to the horror genre lately. It's not just the same old characters, movie after movie, which is cool. I mean, to see the different twists and different things like that. But it's so much better to just get new, just fresh characters that people can relate to in the different time periods and stuff like that. Now, I'm sure you've been talked to a lot about this in other interviews and shit like that, but the gun.
Yeah.
You guys caught a lot of flack for that shit, man, and I don't see why, to be honest. Like, a lot of people, like even some people I know were like, dude, fuck that, man. He's not supposed to have a gun. I was like, who says?
Yeah, they've used guns in other films, like Maniac and Scream, and it's just, and he doesn't use the gun like a normal person. He uses the gun as a slasher would use a gun. Mm-hmm.
Like a last resort.
Not just to kill her, he uses it to disfigure her.
That's a good look on that. I was just thinking maybe he uses it as just like a last resort kind of deal. But I didn't think about that. Just the maim. He only maimed her. It's not like he just blew her head off or anything like that.
But he also looks like when he's doing it, he's kind of not happy that he's having to resort to a gun. Because all the other kills, he's smiling and laughing and having fun. That one, he's dead serious.
Yeah. Ooh.
He's kind of pissed.
That's true.
He's like, you made me resort to this. You're taking all the fun out of this.
But at the same time, I don't know why you guys caught so much flack about it. Like, guns are so much part of the average daily life in one way or another nowadays. Like, it's only gonna happen, and I think it makes it more relatable to the times.
Well, also, horror is always supposed to be a reflection of society itself.
Exactly.
We're putting the mirror to society, and guns, that's a big part of our culture right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a very real fear a lot of people have right now.
And I agree with that.
Especially with all the school shootings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or what happened at the Capitol last week.
Yeah. It's like, what happens everywhere, every fucking day anymore, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like, it's a very real fear. So like, this is, sure. So people didn't, like, the villain didn't use a gun in past slasher films, but this is the new, that's the thing is like, you got to keep innovating.
Exactly.
You got to keep doing new things.
Exactly. Except for going to space.
Art's not afraid of using a gun. He will use whatever means he has accessible to him. I kind of look at him as a MacGyver when it comes to like weaponry. It's like whatever's around him, he'll use that as a weapon.
Well, yeah, just look at his trash bag.
He makes his own weapons too. So like, that's what I like about him too. It's like he makes his own weapons.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell. I mean, I've paused it a few times to try and look. There's a couple times in the movie you get a good view of his bag and what he's got. And there's been a couple times that I've paused it and tried to zoom in and stuff. And it looks like some handmade stuff in there, but I can't really tell what it is.
Well, my favorite one is his flail, because people don't realize, like, all those ropes on that, that's not rope. That's human hair.
What?
That's the hair from his victims. He made the ropes out of.
Nice.
Yeah.
MacGyver indeed, sir. MacGyver indeed. Holy shit, I didn't know.
So he, like, harvests the hair from his victims, these females, and makes the flail out of them.
I'm going to have to go back and check that part out again, see if I can see that. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's a fun little detail. We don't really push it, but it's like, we don't just file say, hey, this is human hair, but it's like, that's what that's supposed to be.
Yeah. So with you guys having such a low budget the first time, and I'm not sure what it was this time, I don't keep those kind of tabs on things. Just because if it's not my business, it's not my business, especially when it comes to money and shit. But are you guys having an easier time this time around as far as distribution and shit, or?
I don't know yet, because Damien hasn't really started doing distribution yet, because he wants to first all get a first edit done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then start shopping around. So I would hope that we have an easier time with distribution.
Yeah.
Because this now people know about this.
Oh yeah.
It's like we're already on these top 5 lists of like horror films coming out this year. So I think people would be stupid right now to pass on us.
Exactly. That's why I asked. I mean, I remember seeing something about you guys are still editing and all that not too long ago. Mm-hmm. But I figured people would be banging at your guys' door, like jumping over each other, kicking each other, like Black Friday, Christmas shopping.
When we were first looking for funding, I was actually surprised that we had not been approached by a bunch of studios. Like, hey, we want to take you guys on. So I'm like, well, maybe they'll do that after part 2 comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did have like a studio that wanted to give us some funding. I'm not going to name their name, but but one, they didn't give us the money. They didn't want to give us the money that even the bare minimum that we wanted. We wanted at least $1 million, and they wouldn't even give us that.
Oh wow, and that's nothing to them.
Like, and most, that is, it's like most. I even did the research and all this because I wanted Damien to know this. So it's like we got to like look at ourselves seriously that way.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
We gotta, and then like you got to it's not being cocky, but it's like we got to value who we are now. And like, most horror films, even low budget ones, are made for at least $1 to $5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so that was kind of a slap in the face. It's like, really? And their excuse was like, well, you guys made the first one for $50,000. So I mean, why do you need so much?
Motherfucker.
I was like, so we can pay the crew and. It's like give us the budget, we'll give you an amazing movie,
right?
And just because we made a movie for $50,000 doesn't mean that we want to do that again. It just means that we know how to make a lot with what we're given.
That was my first thought when you said that they wouldn't even give you $1 million. I was like, if I was one of those fucks, those suit and tie fucks, I would be like, if they did this with 50,000, imagine what they could do with a fucking $1 million. Yeah, imagine.
Exactly. And we don't even have $1 million budget for this one. We're making this for about 500,000, I think.
Wow.
But we're pulling off amazing things it's all because we have a very talented crew.
Passion.
And cast.
Mm-hmm.
It's passion. It's like everybody working on this has put their heart and soul into this, and we're damn proud of it. So yeah,
as you should be.
And another thing, this company wanted to have most of the creative control over it, and Damien was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, you can go fuck yourself.
This is his baby. It's like, give us the money, we'll give you a great product, but you're just trust in us.
Yeah, no, I don't know Damien, but and he probably doesn't give a shit, but you tell him, hats off to him from me, man. To hold on to the artistic creativity part of it and go tell the man to go fuck themselves, that's awesome. That's so much respect, so much kudos.
Because like we could have had a larger budget than we actually have, but he didn't want to sacrifice the integrity of the film, and I don't blame him.
No, not at all. You can go fuck yourself.
And we talked about that. It's like we're like, shit. I'm like, no, I don't think we should. I think we should tell them to go, basically fornicate thyself. It's like, no. It's like, and we talked to other people in the horror community, like Heather Langenkamp, from Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that, and we told her about that, and she's like, good for you. She said. Nice. That Wes Craven, he said that was one of his biggest regrets, that he gave away so much of the creative control of Freddy.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah. Like he kind of regretted that. So I'm like, I'm glad that Damien's sticking to his guns. I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I
mean,
mean,
if they want art, then they gotta work with what he wants, because what he's done works. And it's been proven to work. So just trust the guy.
Exactly. It obviously works.
Trust the guy. Trust his vision, and you'll get a good product.
Exactly. It obviously works. I mean, to be honest, like you guys were like a small production, small budget B-roll movie, and then all of a sudden, like within months' time, you guys are everywhere.
Yeah. It's like Damien has his pulse on what horror fans want, because he is a horror fan himself. And that's the thing. It's like these studios, they just look at it from a monetary position. They're just like, what's going to make us money? They're not looking into it like, oh, let's actually just give the fans what they really want. Like, what can we do to just make money?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Like, we want to make money doing this too, but we also just want to do a damn good film.
Mm-hmm.
We want to give the fans what they want.
Yeah. I think with your guys,
we owe a lot to the fans.
Oh, for sure. Wasn't the Part 2, isn't it kind of fan financed as well?
Primarily, yeah. Yeah, we did the Indiegogo campaign where we raised over $200,000.
Wow.
And our initial goal was just $50,000. We didn't even think we were going to make that. And we made our initial goal in less than 3 hours.
Wow. Congratulations to the fans.
Yeah. That's the fans. That's the fans. And we probably, if we had kept the campaign going, we could have made a lot more, because there were so many fans that have come out since then. We're like, oh my God, I wish I could have contributed.
Yeah.
I just had the money at the time. I'm like, well, Part 3, who knows?
Well, now I know. So yeah, I'm kind of poor, but I'll throw in $1 or $2.
Yeah, and that's how that's how I look at it. I was like, if you can only give $5, that's still $5 more than we had.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's every little bit helps, and it's all going to be used in the right way. We're not using this to go and have steak dinners and crap like that. We're not
renting Lamborghinis.
It on things that we don't really need. Everything has been used to the full extent of the budget.
It really seems that way. It's nothing but a hats off and a kudos to what you guys did with the first one. With what you guys had to work with and the detail you guys went into with it, and I couldn't imagine a better movie based on what you guys presented. So nothing but hats off. And you could say you're not being cocky and all that shit, man, but man, embrace art for what he is. All right, he is the new guy in town. That's the new sheriff in town.
You're so
Since it was made by horror fans for horror fans, what are your favorite horror movies? You probably could ask
5. I'll give you my top 5 in no particular order because I think they're all great in their own way and they're different from each other. Are the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Nice.
Dream Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Omen.
The original?
Exorcist. Yeah, the original Omen.
Okay.
Exorcist and Halloween. Yep.
Nice. You said that was definitely sounded prepared. I feel like you've been asked that quite a few times.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, I don't have an absolute favorite, so I am. But there's so many other good ones too. I mean, like especially like franchises. I mean, I love the Saw movies.
Yeah.
I love the Scream movies. I love the Chucky movies.
Mm-hmm.
And just like so, then there are like independent ones out there I've seen that I love, like Final Girls.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a brilliant movie. I love the Mortuary Collection recently. That was so well done. I love anthology movies.
I haven't
seen
Trick
or Treat. Love it.
Oh yeah, definitely Trick or Treat, man. I got Sam all over the place.
So that was a movie I did not expect to like nearly as much. I was like, this is brilliant. This is such a fun movie.
My girlfriend got me into that movie. I never saw it before. I always looked at it as kind of like, oh, I don't know, man. That looks kind of not my style. But then I sat and watched it with her because it's one of her favorite horror movies. God. And I was like,
just
holy
the whole bit with the handicapped kids.
Yeah, and on the school bus.
Oh my God! I was like, that's because my sister's mentally physically handicapped. So I was like, oh God,
holy shit!
That is so. That was like, that's horrible. But it's so creepy though. It's just like that was just so well done.
It
so
was
well done. But that was just like horrible. Like like that's how dare they do that? But I was just like, that's just heartbreaking in a way. I was like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, if we're going to be honest about the horror genre, I think that's kind of what it does. I think it pulls on those heartstrings in a marionette Freddy kind of fashion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to touch those. I think horror's gotten soft over the years until you guys. I mean, there's been other ones that are, good and stuff like that, but nothing that has reanimated the passion that horror fans have like this. Like, I feel such a resurgence for the genre after you guys.
I hope so. I really hope that's what my real hope is for all this. Is like we are giving this industry, this genre, a kick in the butt right now. I think
that's what
like. I noticed something like after we came out. When they started filming It Part 2, they're like, one thing they said, oh, we're going to have a lot more blood and blah, 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 blah in this. And like,
It Part 2 was kind of lame to me. I thought they could have did a way better job. I expected a way better job. I love the first one.
It was just funny how they're like, oh, let's have more, more blood. We got to compete now. I'm like, good. Okay, cool. I hope this is going to, start other franchises and stuff like that to really start like upping their game. Like let's try to be a little bit. Let's stop trying to make PG-13 horror films and go back to the R. Let's go back to R horror films.
Exactly. I think it's
you'll still get the butts in the seat.
I think it's the PC culture that has really. Really done that because horror movies have always been like we were talking about, like they're supposed to reach deep into us, like as individual human beings, and twist those fears and inhibitions and stuff that we hold, like you people having a mentally or physically handicapped kid with the Trick or Treat doing that, what it did, it's supposed to do that. It's supposed to touch those sensitive places and kind of twist them.
Art is supposed to imitate life.
Exactly.
Pun intended.
Yes. But I really credit you guys for kicking Hollywood in the dick. I really do.
Yeah.
And
it needs it.
Exactly. And I really hope, I think from the way you guys are talking, like, I really think the second one is gonna be that final, like, hey, you're gonna respect us kind of deal. And I can't wait to see it. I'm so stoked.
Well, we're coming in, full charge. So we're not pulling anything back. We're going to be like we're slamming our flag down into the earth and going like we're here.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've never done it before, but because I've never been that type yet. But like when that movie comes out, even if I'm streaming it at home, nobody knows what the future is going to be. Nobody knows when this stuff's going to pan out or how it's going to pan out. Even if I'm streaming it at home and inviting my friends over, I'm gonna dress up like Art and watch this fucking movie. That's how dude. I've never done the cosplay thing. One of my sisters is really into it. But I feel like for this one, dude, I'm so pumped about it. I will dress up like Art and just fucking be like, yeah,
Love it.
like a little kid on Christmas, dude. I'm so stoked for it. I do have one question for you though. Maybe you've been asked, but I don't really care anyway. What future plans do you hold for David Howard Thornton? You can't be Art forever.
Nah, I'm open to whatever. You know, if I would love to go back doing more comedy again. I miss doing comedy. I miss doing musicals.
Yeah.
I would love to go back on stage and do some more musicals and stuff like that. So, like I want to do more voiceover as well. I love doing animation.
What kind of voices do you do?
I do over 200 voices.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I do like a lot of impersonations and stuff like that. So it's like, I've done a lot of animation for like, you know, kids and stuff like that, where they sometimes just call me in to do voices for animals. Like they need someone to sound like a goat, and I just come in and go, and I get paid.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. So much fun.
Quick
little. Like with voiceover work, you don't have to worry how you look.
Yeah, exactly.
You can play characters you could never play otherwise.
That's why I like doing. That's why I like doing radio instead of the normal video podcast. That way, I'm not worried about what this angle looks like and all that bullshit. I know. I can sit here in my pajamas, shirtless, if I want to, and nobody knows.
No one knows.
Exactly. So if you could play any character, who would it be?
Oh, easy. The Joker.
The Joker.
Joker. I want to. I mean, I've played him on a YouTube series, a fan-made YouTube series, but I really want to play him on especially a TV series. I would like to, because I've never seen a true depiction of what I think is a comic book version of the Joker on screen. I've only seen it in animated form, like with Mark Hamill, but I've never seen it brought to life, live action wise. Well, the closest Joker I ever saw to that was Romero's back in the 60s. He was the closest one to the comic book at the time. But, you know, the latest Jokers, they've been some weird hybrid, or, you know, it's like, let's be creative with the characters. Like, no, just do it like the comic book. Keep them to the comic. Keep that look, keep that attitude, everything. That's what I want. And I'm like, okay, fine. If others can't do it, I want to do it myself.
Right? There you go.
Let me do it right.
The Joker. You got a thing for clowns. I like it.
I do. I love clowns. They're fun.
They're creepy and funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's my dream role.
Nice. He said, let me do it right.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Voice Actor, I got $5 or something I could PayPal you. No, just play it. But I would love to hear, like, can I get an impression or something?
Would you like to hear the Joker? Is that what you're wanting to go up there?
Holy shit, dude.
Did it put a smile on your face?
It did.
I do hope so.
Holy fuck, dude. That sounded straight comic book to me. Like, that was really fucking good.
Oh, I have fun with him.
Holy shit.
He's fun.
Holy
He's
shit.
Fun.
So so what did you think of the take on the new Joker, the newest one?
I thought Joaquin did a great job with the movie itself, but that's not the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great actor. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about
I feel that, you know, that would have, even if they didn't have any of the Batman elements, that would have been an equally good movie. Mm-hmm. If you'd done everything the same and it just didn't have the Batman elements to it, it would have been equally as good.
Yeah.
It's just, that's not the Joker. You're not supposed to really know who the Joker is anyway. You're not supposed to explain the joke. If you explain the joke, there is no joke.
Ooh, there you go. Yep. Wow, that's good. Well, I mean, you can't say it much better than that.
Yep.
I did not expect the Joker, though. And that voice, dude, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm inspired by Mark Hamill's version.
Yeah,
because
I could tell.
I think he's the best. I'm like, it's kind of like, you know, if you hear another voice for Bugs Bunny that doesn't sound like Mel Blanc's Bugs Bunny, then you're like, no. And that's how it is with Mark Hamill's version of the Joker. I think that is the best version out there. And I'm like, well, you know, it needs to sound a little bit like that. Because oddly enough, even before he played the Joker, that's basically the voice I had in my head when I was reading the comics. Yeah. So it's like when he first did it, I was like, whoa, that sounds like him. Sounds like what I've had in my head this whole entire time.
Hey, me and this guy, we know it. We got it. We got this.
Yeah.
That's
like,
awesome.
I see what you're doing here, Mark. And
Right. I really hope you get that opportunity because that voice alone, like, I kind of got goosebumps. Not to be like too girlish or what the fuck ever, but
Thank you.
that was really well done. I was not expecting that.
I would say like I said, I would love to play him on a TV series rather than a movie, because with a TV series, you have more than just 2 hours with the character to do stuff with him. A TV series, you have at least a season, if not more, to really flesh him out, because there's so much to the character and there's so much to the dynamic between him and Batman that can be explored. And I would really like to do that. I would really like to go in depth with him more than what he can do in a 2-hour movie.
So do you have any big plans this year as far as the Terrifier 2 release or anything?
No, not yet. I'm just going to go with the flow. Because, we're still kind of in limbo right now with, with this virus and everything like that. So I'm hoping once they really get the vaccines out there, everything's going to start going back to normal and we can get back to doing conventions and all that fun stuff again.
Yeah, that's one thing I really miss is going to the theater for the the premiere of the new horror movies and shit like that, or the drive-in and shit like that. Like, I really miss that shit. But
I miss that, especially this past summer. I miss doing summer movies. That's always my big thing during the summer. I love to go to movies.
And that's when they usually start putting out the good ones, like midsummer, like the good horror movies anyways, like usually like midsummer to like, winter. Yeah. Like November-ish. Like that whole stretch right there is just, that's really when the good ones are coming out and you've been waiting all half a year for them and you're like, yes, we get to go to the drive-in and hang out and yes. But hopefully this year things start to wind back the way they're supposed to.
I hope so.
If not,
we need a return to normalcy.
Yeah. If not, I guess we'll just have to adapt.
Yep, exactly.
Figure it out. Maybe movie theaters will become like an underground, like prohibition bars or something, speakeasies.
Who knows? Who knows?
Right. Well, it has been great talking to you, man. I've loved every minute of it, and I hope you've had a good time. Hope it hasn't been some boring ass normal interview.
Not at all. I've had fun chatting too.
Probably asked the same questions, but
don't worry about it. You have some fun ones in there, so don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like my thing that I do. Like I purposefully avoid any kind of YouTube videos or interviews because I don't want to see anything. I just want to be fresh and just meld it together and see what happens. Either we make magic and have a good time, or we bump heads and make magic. Either way, it's magic, so whatever.
Exactly. And plus, if you ask the same question, it's like, it's still going to be new to people that haven't heard this before anyway. So it's like, there you go. Exactly,
spreading it out. And I mean, to be honest, like, you guys are still pretty new kids on the block. They're still...
We got the right stuff.
Baby.
I had to make that joke. I'm sorry.
I love it. Don't go, girl. Yes. But I have really enjoyed this, man, and I'd love to get you on the show again sometime if you wouldn't mind. Definitely. And I'd love to get Damien and the rest of the cast, anybody that wants to get on here. I really want to pick Damien's brain. This guy sounds like a mine of just gold.
Oh, he is. He's like a database of horror.
That is awesome. Yeah. Well, hats off to you guys. Thank you for everything you guys have done. Thank you for kicking Hollywood right in the fucking balls and saying, "Hey, this is how horror is supposed to be done. We don't need PG-13 horror movies." And I really appreciate that. I love everything about it. And yeah, man, I wish you nothing but the best in the future. And if there's anything you'd like to say on a personal note or anything you'd like to blurt out and tell the world, now's the time to go ahead.
Just big thank you to everybody supporting us. It's like I've said earlier, this is part 2 is a movie made by fans for fans, and it's the fans that have made this all possible. So big thank you to guys, and I hope you are all staying safe right now, wearing your mask, social distancing, and everything like that, and staying sane as well throughout all this. So I want you all to take good care of yourself right now so you can be around for part 2 and part 3.
and part 3. Yes. Well, I really appreciate it, man, and I hope you stay safe and be blessed, and I hope you guys nothing but the best, man, nothing but the best, and thank you very much for stopping by and hanging out with me.
You're welcome, man.
All right, brother. Well, I will talk to you soon, I hope, and I'll be on the lookout for anything new you got coming, and you have a wonderful evening, man.
All right, you too, man. Take care.
All right, thank you. You too, bro.
All right, good night.
All right, you too. Bye, man.
Bye.
My fury.